All right, we want to give a big shout out to Excess Power here for giving us one of these S3400s. So they've got a few different series of batteries. This is a Group 34 battery, and it's a AGM sealed battery. So here's the thing. Remember, Donnie's car has a this little tube that comes out because the battery is in the trunk. And that tube, what it does is it it releases the gases out of the vehicle. That way, Donnie doesn't die when he's driving.
I don't want to die.
You don't want to die. So the cool thing about this battery is it's sealed, and we don't need to use that tube anymore. So it's a sealed battery, and it will not release any gases, and that's what we want to put in the trunk. This is more than enough of a battery to do the system in his vehicle. It'll take care of your vehicle itself and the system, and he should not have any issues with lights dimming or any low voltage issues with the amplifier. Remember, we're only putting in probably going to be using no more than 2,000 watts out of this amplifier, so it should be more than enough sufficient to use this battery in his system. We're also going to run a new ground in the vehicle. If you saw before, and I think it was the first video we did, the factory ground in this vehicle is ridiculous. It is like it goes to a thin piece of metal that comes up like this, and that is only tack welded in a few places, and they use seam sealer. It's not ideal for a system. Honestly, in my opinion, it's not even ideal for just a factory ground. So we're going to go ahead and replace that. We're going to drill through the floor in the trunk in a safe way. We're going to put a grommet in, and we're going to go ahead and put that ground in a frame rail that's right below the trunk. So, and then we're going to use a bolt and everything to do that. Grommet, shield everything, make everything sexy.
Are you talking about what all this other stuff is?
Yeah, so
I don't know.
So they also gave us these items here. So since Donnie's got multiple wires coming to his battery, Excess Power supplied us with these little distribution terminals that actually sit on the block itself, just like that. And you can actually, we're going to do this in the vehicle. That way we can figure out the right angles to put things. And it supplies with all the hardware we need to do everything. So again, a big shout out to Excess Power.
They gave me a shirt too.
They gave him a shirt. Look at that.
Thanks, Excess Power.
Hell yeah. Let's go ahead and install this stuff. Okay, so one thing I noticed here, if you guys look, there's a sensor, I believe. I don't know what these wires are. I'll just be honest there. Not sure what these are. And here's the factory ground wire. And it looks like there's some kind of a sensor that wraps around the factory ground. We're going to utilize that when we run our new ground wire, just in case this was detecting some kind of current draw or something from the factory ground. We're going to utilize that just in case, because the vehicle may need this. So we're going to go ahead and use that. I just got to cut it off of this wire, and when we run our new ground, the new ground wire will fit through there, thankfully, so we'll be good.
I wonder if that got on camera. I used my mouth. What'd that mouth do? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this distribution block in. It doesn't matter which one goes where because they're both the same. It comes with a lock washer and a regular washer we're going to put on there. And just drop it down just like that. I'm just going to lightly put it in there. We'll figure out the positioning here in a minute. So probably... let's see.
The amp's gonna be over here.
So this needs to be able to fit on here. I might do something like that.
Yeah.
We'll just do it like this. That way there's less of an angle because this wire here is very hard and it's not very forgiving. So I'm just going to we'll just do a straight run right there. And then when we bring our ground wire in, we'll tap it in here as well. Okay, so now that we got our distribution blocks in here, we're going to go ahead and start running the wire. I've already spliced the factory power wires. We're actually going to most likely, if we can get it done easily, run a whole nother power wire from the alternator forward. Since we've already got the wire, might as well do it. I'm over here shocking myself. If you have a sweaty arm and you're touching the power and your arm touches the ground, you'll feel a little tingle. Feels like a little bug bite almost.
So what do we do with this tube?
Nothing. It just sits there.
It just sits there. You can't cut it short or something.
Go like this. Boom.
Okay.
Fixed. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and drill a pilot hole right here, right where the ground wire is going to come out. Then I'm going to come back with a step bit and drill the hole out bigger so we can run our grommet through there. And I'll show you.
Show you a grommet.
We've got these grommets. These are some nice nylon grommets here, or plastic of some sort. And basically, we're going to drill our hole just big enough to fit this through, and then it screws in from both sides. It gives a nice tight fit. We can run our wire right through it.
So you're sizing it up to see how far you need to go in with it.
And I don't want to go too low on my hole because that's the bottom of the car. I want to actually bring it up a little bit.
Okay.
This way it's tucked up against the inside bottom part of the car and not way down low. And the biggest thing is, folks, is you want to make sure that wherever you're drilling a hole, there's nothing in the way, like gas tank or exhaust system. The exhaust system on this car is on the driver's side. So we don't have to worry about any exhaust. There's no suspension right here. There's literally nothing under the car where we're going to drill this hole, and it's very important. So let's go ahead and make a hole. All right, so there's our pilot hole. And we're going to make a little bit of a mess because we already put the deadener on here, but it shouldn't be too big a deal. Actually, what I might do, I think I might cut out some of this deadener first, just to kind of save us some.
Yeah.
Save us a little bit so it doesn't look stupid. Okay, so originally, and we're going to go down here and show you what I'm talking about here in a minute, but essentially down in here, I can't get my drill to fit in a specific area, so we were going to use this big long bolt. Now these are both stainless, that way they don't rust. But we were going to use a big long bolt to go through the frame rail from one side to the other, the width of the frame rail. But then we realized I can't get my drill to fit in there properly. So there's a little hole where I can get up inside, and I'll show you here in a minute, where we're going to fit this bolt through the frame rail just on the bottom side. That way we can get our ring terminals for the ground wire to go through it. So let's go ahead and show you what I was talking about here. Oh boy, it's hard to see anything. So up through here, we were going to go ahead and put the bolts in now. Now this is the original bolt that I got. It was supposed to fit through from one side to the other. That way our ring terminal can bolt in through there. But unfortunately, I cannot get my drill in here deep enough to be able to drill through this. So since we've got a hole right here already, I'm going to drill a hole right here, drop this bolt on through from the inside, so I'm going to have to finger it up in there, and then we'll be able to go through the bottom side. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to sand this area so we have a nice clean metal to metal contact, and then once we have everything in place, we're going to spray that with a protectant, that way it doesn't rust. Okay, so I went ahead and we put on this jacketing material right here. It is it's a braided 3/4 inch jacket. It's actually got a slit right here. You can slide it right over your wire. And I went ahead and I put heat shrink on both sides, on the terminal end and on the end that hits the grommet that goes through the car, just to pretty it up. But this is essentially going to add more security to the wire, more bracing, just in case anything scuffs that wire. It's got extra jacketing, extra security, because we don't want to mess this up. So we're gonna go ahead and install this on that bolt that we just put through the frame rail. Pull bolt through here. I did it the first time. Let's see if I can do it the second time. There we go. Oh. Come on. Yeah. Watch this. There we go. Oh. So we got the bolt bolted down with the wire all plugged in and everything. Instead of using paint, I don't like using paint because the paint could chip off. We're going to use this battery terminal spray. It'll help protect the metals, and so you don't get corrosion and rust. So I'm going to go ahead and spray that on that terminal. Just like that right there. Every once in a while, so this will stay on there for a good period of time, but every once in a while it wouldn't be a bad idea just to go back. I'm going to give this can to Donnie, and he'll just go ahead and spray that every once in a while. Like twice a year is all you really need, honestly. Because it's an oil base, it will stay in place and it penetrates the metals. Put a little bit more on there, and we should be good. The only bare metal that we're really seeing is right up in this area, where I went a little bit too much with the wire brush, but other than that we're good. And probably spray a little on the inside too, why not? It'll be good. Alright, now we changed the vehicle ground. We've got it coming through grommet here. It comes up. The ground wire that we had that comes with our kit was about 6 inches too short. So because I wanted, oh, you know what? Yeah, I wanted the ground wire to come originally from and then go around the back of the battery, but our wire was about 6 inches too short to make it all the way around, and I didn't want to have to cut a whole another piece of wire, so I just brought it up the front here. It's secured in place and it comes in right there. So now we've got a really good ground for this vehicle. All right, so we got the battery in and we put all the stuff in here, and we went to go shut that piece of wooden carpet that sits right here. We realized that the new terminals that we put on here, they stick up just a little too high. So we had to go ahead and put in these boards that raise the whole floor up just about a ½ inch, just enough to clear the terminals. So now we're gonna go ahead and put that carpet back in. Everything will be fine and everything will work. It looked really stupid because it was like sticking up here. There's this big gap. So we're gonna we went ahead and did all that, and it's fixed now. So just keep in mind, you may have to do these weird little things in your vehicle. And the reason why we put it in the spots in which we put the boards in is because that piece of wood that's underneath the carpet only comes out to about right here. It doesn't go out any further. And we wanted the boards to be able to fit on the wood. And if you stuck it out here or back there or back over here, it's just going to lift the carpet and it's not going to do anything. So wood on wood.
Okay, now that we've got the battery installed and the new ground wire set up, we're going to go ahead and run a new wire for the alternator. We're going to go ahead and keep the original alternator wire in the vehicle. We're just going to add 2 using the Sundown amp kit that we have. Donnie. I went ahead and I put a new, I soldered the tip on the ring terminal on the wire because it doesn't come soldered. You don't have to do it. It is crimped. Added security. If it's going in a place that you cannot get to easily, you might as well just solder it in place. So I soldered it and I put a Sundown heat shrink on it. And one thing we're going to do, and I'll show you here in a second, is we're going to fuse both ends of this wire. So you've got a battery in the rear of the vehicle and you've got the alternator. The wire is going from the alternator to the battery, and it's hot on both ends. And because it's hot on both ends, we're going to fuse both ends of it. That way the wire that runs through the vehicle is safe and secure, just in case anything happens and there's a dead short, it doesn't burn the car down. So we're going to go ahead and fuse that. This wire comes with a braided line. We're actually going to cut in the middle of this, put the fuse in between it, and we've already secured the fuse in a secure location, and we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here's our bolt for the alternator. This is the power wire. You just take the jacketing off. Most likely not going to be able to put this back on, so just keep that in mind. And we're going to come right on the top of this. We're going to scrape some of this to make it nice and clean, so you have a good connection. And you know what? What you don't want to do is what I was just about to do, and that would be have a piece of metal touch this and touch the frame at the same time, because then you'll arc, and we don't want to do that. So good footage though. Okay, so here's our fuse block. We're going to put it right here, and there's a cover that goes on it. We test fitted it to make sure that the cover does not hit this. It's all by itself. It's zip tied in place. The alternator, bring it over here. There's our connection to the alternator along with the primary wire that goes, that's from the vehicle. We're going to bring it up here, zip tie it. It's going to come here, come out of here. We're going to come up through here. We're going to go through the firewall. We're going to drill a hole through the firewall and bring it up all the way through the vehicle.
Okay, so we're under the driver's side. All right, as you can see right here, this is an automatic vehicle. If this was a manual, right there would be where the clutch comes out. We're gonna go ahead and pull that out, and then I'm gonna drill right through that. And that's where our wire's gonna come in through the vehicle.
How do you know there's not something important back there?
I just know, Donnie. I just know. I just know these things. Honestly, yeah, you do want to check obviously on the other side of the firewall to make sure that there's nothing that you're going to drill through. But yeah, so just make sure there's nothing on the other side. If you need to drill a small pilot hole to just double check, go ahead and do that. Obviously look on the other side and make sure that you're not going to ruin the vehicle. Okay, so as you can see, we used the grommet just like we did in when we did the ground wire. So we did a grommet. It screws on both sides, that way it's nice and secure. It's also watertight. And you bring it around here, and then we're also going to run the remote wire at the same time down in through the seams. We pulled up the trim pieces through here, and it's got to go through the trim piece that goes to the other side of the vehicle and into the trunk. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and install these fuse blocks. Now if you remember, we put a fuse block up by the front near the alternator, so that power wire that's coming back towards the trunk, we now have to fuse that in. That way the whole line that's from the trunk, or from the engine compartment to the trunk, is considered fused and safe. So it don't catch fire. Right? Anyway, so it doesn't catch fire. We've got two of these now. We're going to install two of them, and here's what we got going on. So let's take a look here. So we've got two fuse blocks here. We're basically going to put them one on top of the other one. The power wire that's coming from the alternator is going to come down here. It's going to go through this block into the battery, and then the next one's going to come back from the battery to the fuse block and to the amplifier. So that's why we're going to put two in. That way all of our lines are considered fused and there's no issues with any power, or any fire I should say. So let's go ahead and install these. Alright, so you can see we've got our fuses in line here. So we've got the power wire coming from the alternator, comes down here. So this line is considered fused, this is not. It goes to the battery, and then it comes back off the battery, comes back around, and then this is the line that goes to the amplifier. So it goes into here and back up around there, and we're going to leave that just jacketed for now. We're going to tape off that end just in case. And then essentially, when we put the carpet back in, put the amplifier in, and everything like that, we'll figure out how long we need to get that cut. We might just leave it long, just in case we need to service the amplifier. But the amplifier is going to sit right here, and then the box is going to sit right here. And the only thing else we have left to do is to do ground for the amplifier. It's going to come up here, come back up just like that, and it'll be for the ground for the amplifier, and then we'll be done. All right, so we're done here for the most part. So we've got our ground wire now. This is the one that goes to the amp. It's going to come up through there and to the amplifier, which again sits over this way. So now we've got our power and ground runs for the amp, power and grounds to the battery. Everything's in place. The only thing we have to do is a little bit of cable management to kind of put everything in its place so it doesn't move and shake around. I'm good to go there. We have to buy some of that stuff. I forgot all about it.
We want to give a big shout out again to Excess Power for giving us the D34, actually it's an S3400.
Thanks, Scotty.
Again, yeah, thanks Scotty, and thanks all the guys over there at Excess Power. You make some really good products. This battery is going to be a huge upgrade for Donnie's whole electrical system, not just for the stereo itself, but the car. So again, we ran the alternator wire, we fused both ends, we retapped and made a brand new ground wire. That way there's no issues with current draw, or I should say current suffocation, whatever you want to call it. It's like shrinking, like a hose. Anyway, so big shout out to Excess Power. We use Sundown wire, we use Sundown heat shrink. You can get that heat shrink through us. Just give us a call if you ever want to use it. And we just use some nice Tech Flex material to keep everything safe. And again, yeah, so big shout out to Excess. Thank you very much. And the next video you see should be us actually installing the subwoofer and the amplifier.
So excited.
Yeah, getting all the wires ran to the speakers, and we'll be good to go there. All right, thank you.